Hello, we're here to look at some knives. Whittling knives. The Swayback Swede has been getting some use. I've taken to carving some spoons out of blanks that I split from a beech tree that I cut down. And here's one example. So I'm keeping them soaked in a bucket. And I can pull it out and whittle on it and put it away again. And eventually this will get fired. So I'm going to try and cook it somehow in some beeswax with oil or something. It's going to be challenging, maybe with this large spoon, come to think of it. So, yeah, I've actually not got much that I'd want to do on this at the moment, but do some little demonstration cuts. So, yeah, there you see. The Swayback Swede, since I last presented, has been convexed on the edge there. So now this performs much as I like. And actually, for reference, I use this knife because I was using this just with the original. It was almost like a Scandi grind or something. It was like 40,000 behind the edge, and possibly done on a wheel with the shoulders there. And it was pretty good for whittling, but especially with this handle and just the layout, I was really enjoying it. But then at one point I was out and I didn't have this on my belt, and so I pulled this out of my pocket, and you know, it's a similar concept. You know, you got the flat grind, but I just convexed it in at the edge there, and this thing whittles fantastically. It's a very satisfactory blade. However, it gets a bit of wiggle. And shout out to Chip Valtakis, who explained to me about how to access the pivot on this, which I have done, and it is there. And I got it, I tightened it up, but then I didn't Loctite it or anything, and actually it's going to be a process of trial and error, because when you put everything back together again, it kind of tightens it up more, wherein you don't get the same result anymore as you had when you have the bolster off. You can get it tight and you can deploy it and then put the bolster on, and it handles differently. So I would have to, you know, go through the whole procedure multiple times and then try and identify, you know, mark my spots and everything, and then Loctite it in just the right place, and hopefully there I get it. And even then, I don't know if it's possible with this knife without further modification to have zero blade play. I strongly suspect not. So it is a really good, this is often what I'm going for now to carry in my right pocket on the clip, just because here is a Craftsman Electrician's knife, and it had a big chomp taken out of it here. So the Electrician, I'm fairly sure it was an actual electrician's knife for some time, because they'd been pull cutting wire on the same spot, and you can kind of still see where the steel is a little thinner here. So that's the remnant of that, and I flattened it out and reground, and again now we have a flat grind with a convex edge, and this blade whittles lovely, and the feel of sharpening it and everything is sublime. You know, I like the feel of the steel sharpening and cutting. I like the feel better than this, I think, if that could even be a thing, which is, yeah, the 14C28N. Great steel. I don't think it's very hard on this particular knife, and that might have helped. And this is old and mellow. So because of this wobbling, then I put this Shirogorov in my pocket. Yeah, an amazing knife. Stunning, fantastic, fabulous. Not really a great spoon whittler. And what we have is this very wide flat grind, very flat, coming down to very thin behind the edge. Let's have a look, shall we? Okay. And to get behind the edge there, where is he? It's pretty thin. We're about there. Let's see up here. Expect it to be a little thicker. 15. So pretty thin. And then the final edge bevel there is pretty steep, I reckon. So it's not bad, but it just doesn't really give you the steerability. Steerability. Now, sometimes I see thumbnails on YouTube, and they get me going. I don't even watch the video. One that I could think of is there's a video out there somewhere that says like 10 or 15 reasons to split wood smaller. And ever since then, I split my wood smaller, but I didn't watch the video. I just kept coming up with reasons for myself. Some I watched later playlist. So I saw a thumbnail that was Spyderco hollow grinds are good for whittling. And so I got back into thinking about the Swayback jack. I never really convinced myself to go all out and buy a Swayback jack, but this time I went to look for one, and I came up with this not unique but limited edition from Blades We Love, I believe, with this finish. And the photos made it irresistible to me, and actually in person, it's every bit as fantastic as I could have hoped. As is that. That's very good. I haven't even had it so long as to really take a look at this polish, but that's pretty good. There I am. Hola! That's my shirt. And that's my Gerst neck knife. Oh, we're going to have to get that out in a second. The paracord wrap. I'm going to talk about that. But so far with this knife, something I've been doing with my knives a lot recently is killing ticks. We've got a lot of ticks. I keep pulling them off myself. Well, ourselves, myself, the dogs. Just having a little look now. I'm about to have a check. So, I find one crawling on my neck or whatever, and you pinch it, you get it down, and then you just try and cut the head off or whatever. And it was a very clean cut with this knife on that little tick that I pulled off my neck right after the unboxing. And indeed, the tick, didn't know that it was dead yet, and it kept moving. One of the sides, or possibly both, kept, doing their thing, which made me think, actually, when it reminds me of a video I watched recently. I recommend. It's about Finnish chip carvers, American Finnish chip carvers. And this guy says, I keep my knives so sharp, if I cut myself, I won't bleed till next week. And you know what I mean? When you cut yourself with something really sharp and you're like, wow, it's not bleeding. It's not bleeding. And then 30 seconds later, suddenly, boosh, it broaches. So I guess this was such a clean cut, on that tick. That made me think, well, actually, the way that I was just doing it outside, I was down by the stream with the dogs, and I picked these 3 ticks off myself. And because there wasn't like a cutting board or a surface like this that there usually is to hand, even if I'm in the car, I'll just grab a piece of trash off the floor, which I always have, and cut the tick on that, something soft. Because I wouldn't want to use my edge on, say, a rock, right? But if you're out by the stream, you can't put the tick down on the ground. It's just going to disappear. So you put it on a rock, and then I went in. Well, I got the side a little bit here because at one point it wasn't a flat rock, so I had to do a bit of this. But generally, I was going in and mashing them with that, right? And I actually think that that's going to be a quicker death for the tick, because and more merciful, right? Which is what we're going for, because you're just crushing the life out of them, rather than if you just like snip them neatly in two, they don't really know yet. And I wouldn't want to be walking around with only one arm and leg and just, helplessly awaiting my doom, right? Just, cleanly decapitate me. That would be my preference, I guess. So, I like this so much that I almost want to say I conned Patrick Gerst, because I think it wasn't really noble what I did, but I convinced him to make me more of these for $20 a pop. I told him about a plan of mine to make a $20 knife, sort of off the back of a Choir Boys Outdoors video I saw where he's saying, no US makers making a cool $20 knife anymore. And I'm like, well, I can make a $20 knife. Let me go grab it. So that's that. Well, we'll do a more formal presentation later, but this is a Stanley chisel, mountain laurel, buffalo horn. It's a chisel ground. Man, I got one crawling on my neck, I swear. Well, now I get the crawly feeling all the time, even when I don't have a tick on me. Sorry, bear with me. It's when they get stuck in the hairs. All right. Brutal. Yeah, went in with the Tanto point there. Devastatingly effective. It's a very thick geometry on this one. But this is actually a whittling knife. The thing is that if you want to do a flat or a curve like this, then this knife will serve you excellently. If you're making a neck for a guitar or something, right, you can get your finest curls totally flat. Well, so what there is there's a little hollow on the back here. So when you sharpen, you lay it flat, and you get totally flat, completely flat. Okay, I actually do raise it just a hair at the edge there. So you get a little bit of control. And then if you need steerability, you go in with this side. And you can whittle with this very nicely as well.